In today's video we will see the actresses with the best ass in the porn industry. Let's start. Alexis Texas. The undisputed queen of the absurd asses, a body chiseled by the gods, the Jesus Christ of the white tambourines. Alexis Texas has entered the list thanks to her return to porn a few months ago after a season dedicated to dancing in strip clubs and living off rents. And the truth is that it would have been crazy not to include in the sieve what is probably the best lower body in the history of the United States. Mia Malkova. The magic of Mia Malkova resides not so much in her colossal buttocks, which at first were thought to be artificial and ended up showing that they are natural as fresh lettuce, as in the contrast of that stratospheric ass with a face that could be that of a top model or a Hollywood star. Of course, Mia usually sells her butthole at a high price, but when she does, trumpets of victory sound and the rose bushes bloom suddenly. A.J. Applegate. A woman who kills them in silence and who bases her charm on a certain anatomical contrast. Not only is she extremely beautiful and a natural blonde, but the combination of a particularly small chest with a gigantic ass has made her one of the standard bearers of the new sexual canon, the body pair type. Hardly A.J. Applegate would be considered a top 5 ass, but it certainly deserves its place in a top 12. Jada Stevens. For some, the only one that comes close to Alexis Texas. For others, the only one that overshadows him. Of course, Jada Stevens is an ode to perfect shapes, but also to buttock mobility, the satisfying texture of the buttocks, and the talent to use the anus in the most seductive and quasi-artistic ways. His colleagues also say that the last centimeters of his digestive tract make up one of the most comfortable and pleasant places in the industry. Christina Rose, another one that comes by the hair. The last 3 years she's spent club hopping, eventually appearing in lesbian scenes only to vanish again in a puff of smoke, like a juicy butt ninja. Not long ago, Hard X brought her back to the fore and demonstrated, precisely with an anal sex scene, that upturned ass and deliciously disproportionate to Christina Rose's physical constitution had always been safe, preparing for her inevitable return. Phoenix Marie. She is 1.75 tall and around 65 kilos, but with the curves that Phoenix Marie's body presents and the way she moves and acts, so full of self-confidence and so aware of her control of the situation that sometimes she reminds us of the long-awaited beast Gianna Michaels. The Californian with the perverse smile conveys the impression of being one of those Amazons capable of causing a death by Kiki. And there is no Amazon without a huge ass, of course. Ryan Smiles. A one-hit wonder that thought better of it and one of the rears that have impacted us the most since its inception. Pale as a nun's and accessible as a prostitute's, although since his return after a period of reflection he still has us on a diet without anal sex, Ryan's ass still has a long way to go, but it presents itself as a buttock game of boundless pornographic potential. Big, very soft and with an absolutely maddening waist ratio. Blondie Fesser. Be careful with this planetary hyperculin from Argentina because, if she already has the size to submit the whole fucking humanity to a buttock blow, the group is not far behind. Blonde, sweet and with a special morbidity due to the brackets that USA. Blondie Fesser recently had a chest job, which wasn't bad without being spectacular. And now she's some kind of perfect fucking machine. A sexual animal who just needs some luck with contracts to get to the top level. Francesca James. There's probably nothing about Francesca Jaimes that isn't pretty. Her husband, maybe, depending on whom. So with that walking sculpture she has under her skin and that brutal talent for unleashed nymphomania, it's no wonder that Francesca's ass, this explosive Colombian, has never been particularly appreciated. A few degrees of frontal recline and a quick glance at that heart-shaped tambourine and that enormous clitoris as a cherry are enough to surrender to the evidence of her virtue. Remy Lacroix. One of the instigators of ass fever in porn and also one of the most glorious proofs that big-assed teens not only exist and have their own space in the pornographic jungle, but are also a rising value that we should never let fall. Remy Lacroix destroyed Tumblr thanks to the phenomenon of his famous hula hoop dance that he later ended up repeating in dozens of porn movies. We can say that hers is an iconic ass. Jinx Maze. Because the title is The Best Asses, and not The Biggest Asses, that of the smiling Peruvian should appear on this list as one of the most beautiful witnesses that an ass without imperfections can also be modest in perimeter. Where Jinx Maze's ass does not fail is in that morphology that borders on the fruity, and especially in the way of taking advantage of it in front of a camera lens. And the smile, house brand, always indelible. Mandy Muse. Another absolutely privileged lower body and the result of genetics. In a world where squats and fitness are the go-to method for getting an impressive booty, Mandy Muse says her only strategy for getting that crazy booty is, mind you, overindulging in Mexican food. Knowing this fact, what comes out of it may not be particularly erotic, but the spectacularity of her pale behinds cannot be denied.